Thank you very much for this session. So next up, we had a session in breakout room 1, which we are moving to this room. And the session from breakout room 2 will be moving to the breakout 1. So next up, we have got Josh Smith and Sheetal Jain, who are going to talk about composable tech and generative AI for real. So they are going to show you the real-life example about that. So yeah, without further ado, I would like to welcome them to the stage.
Yeah. Yeah. Mic check, mic check. Oh. All right. Oh my God. Actually, I have a little loud voice, and this makes it sound resounding. थोड़ा कम कर सकते हैं भैया? How's India? Make some noise, guys. Yeah, come on, we can do better. Make some noise. Fantastic. Before I hand it off to our British friend, George, I would like to have a moment and tell a little bit about myself. And I've been in the Sitecore ecosystem for 15 years, and large part of that have been with horizontal. Never ever I have spoken at a conference in India. This is my first time. And whether it is an irony or just stroke of luck, today is a special day for me in front of my beloved community members. And I take the privilege to share some of the learnings today. So a disclaimer, this session is really going to be predominantly focused on technologists. Sorry, George. And we have tailored this to the audiences about how a technologist should approach technology. Kind of sounds counterintuitive. But as we move on this presentation, you know, there's element of everything as a technology you should be looking, a perspective we want to share, and obviously, if the demo gods are with us, we're going to do a live demo. Let's not count too much on it, but we're going to share. I always feel that everybody should have something to offer. As speaker, I feel it is very important that people ask questions. No question is, you know, stupid question. But important is that if there are things we would like to hear, we'll reserve some time for Q&A, and I would want to make sure that you guys take that leverage. With that being said, George, you want to kickstart the presentation? A round of applause for George as well.
Thanks, mate. So, ironically, this is not my first time speaking in a conference in India, so let me tell you all about India. Right, fine. So, here's who we are. I'm the attractive one over there. And Sheetal is an 11-time Sitecore MVP, is that right?
Yeah.
I'm only a 4-time MVP, which makes me a lot younger as well as more attractive than Sheetal. And as Sheetal says, we've got a live demo happening, right? So what could possibly go wrong there? So what Sheetal said is this is mostly about technologists, but what he really meant to say, and he was too polite to say, is this is a presentation about how non-technologists like me screw over technologists, and how you can learn to deal with idiots like me. So the way we're phrasing it is to say, the challenge is that people like me, the marketeer, the creative, the strategist, the salesperson, the non-technologist, will often hand off nothing but buzzwords to technologists. And they'll say, you take it from here, right? And that doesn't always work, surprisingly. And what we're going to talk about, and what Sheetal, with his 11 MVPs, is going to be talking about, is about how you can deal with people like me and actually produce an incredible outcome from the work. So, here's how, there's a famous Steve Jobs, everyone's got a Steve Jobs quote, right? No presentation is complete. My Steve Jobs quote here is about, he has this great interview he gave when he talked about conceptual cars, and he tried to liken it, the process of innovation, to conceptual cars. And he said, you'll go into a showroom, right? You walk into a showroom for, in this one, Mercedes, and they'll show you the car of the future. And they'll say, in 10 years' time, this is what the car of the future will look like, and it will be incredible, right? It will look amazing, have all these bells and whistles, and everyone wants it. And yet, a couple of years later, when they release it, it just looks different, right? Because what happens is, from that process of conceptual, visionary, kind of, cobbled together, seemingly almost complete, what actually gets into production code is something that has had death by 1,000 cuts. 1 million different decisions, assumptions not validated, things not thought through, miscommunications, compromises, because it's a bit like Schrodinger's cat, if you know that, right? When the brief is just in the box and the box is empty, it's fine and it's beautiful, but by actually making decisions and opening the box, we limit the reality of what it can be. And there's a process and there's a beauty and there's an art to actually getting this thing right. And how can we ensure that the visionary brief actually turns out to be the production code that the client wants? Because fundamentally, in the process, I might write lots of things on a whiteboard. I might write lots of post-it notes. I might produce wireframes. I might, show you Photoshop files, whatever it might be. But no one ever touches that. No one ever touches those things. The customer only touches the code. And if the code and the craftsmanship of that code doesn't manifest the idea and the experience and all of that work, then it's for nothing. So what happens is we get a project manager, again, probably another technologist, and they'll map out the process of how this works. And we all know this. You'll all have some kind of process. It goes from a brief to a really interesting ideation process to a design. We'll develop some things. We'll deliver it. And then there'll be a process of continuous improvement. But there's a gap and there's a lie in this process. And the lie is here. It's in the ideation, right? And I tell you where the gap is. That's where the disconnect. That's when the conceptual car first comes off the rails. And I think the ideation process, the gap in the ideation process, is a lot like underpants gnomes. Who knows what an underpants gnome is? No? Right. Do anyone know what South Park is? No? Right. Doesn't matter. Just work with me. You don't need to know. Right. So basically, here's the setup, right? It's a cartoon for adults. There's a bunch of kids, and they're in their bedroom, and they discover that their underpants are being stolen by gnomes. That's all you need to know. And then they go underground, and they discover what these gnomes are doing with their underpants. Hopefully, have we got sound? Hopefully we have.
Yep, we can hear loud and clear.
We don't have sound. Have you got sound? Let's try it again. Yeah. Should I try again?
I love this part of it.
It's
always.
Great.
It just gives a little
And this
bit
isn't even the live demo. So here's what's happening. And this is hilarious, much more hilarious. I'm going to send this around later. They've discovered that the gnomes have got a brilliant business plan. And their business plan is, step one, they're going to steal lots of underpants. Step two, they can't quite remember. Step three, there's going to be lots of profit. And so, I missed. And so that is So don't worry, it's much funnier when I send it around. And that's essentially it, is that there's this kind of magical, mysterious, missing gap where the visionary brief somehow turns into something that is meaningful and exceptional and exactly what the client wants. So what we're going to do is we're going to demo what this might look like and build towards the demo that we've created. And Sheetal's going to talk a little bit from a technologist perspective about how you can deal with idiots like me giving you a terrible brief. So, the client brief may look a bit like this. We want to start selling and distributing T-shirts. We don't currently have any T-shirt designs, but our business also doesn't have much money. So we want you to start small, become profitable, and then scale quickly worldwide. And that's the kind of weird, crazy brief that we get from clients, right? So that's step one. Step two, as we said, is there's a process. And we say, someone like me says, no problem. We can start selling and distributing T-shirts. E-commerce, simple. OrderCloud, no problem at all. And we don't currently have any T-shirt designs? No problem, I've got just the answer. Generative AI, let's do that, perfect, that's the strategy. And of course, they don't have much budget, that's no problem at all. We'll just sell them an MVP. And then, some idiot like me hands over to the technologist like Sheetal and says, look mate, I've done all the heavy lifting, I've given you the buzzwords, now you just take it from here and fill in the gaps.
Thank you, George. And since I'm in India, I'm going to take a liberty of saying something in Hindi. Hopefully you understand. Otherwise, ask your neighbor. We always used to hear childhood, "Jo dikhta hai, wahi bikta hai," right? But unfortunately, the reality I learned is, "Jo chalta hai, wahi bikta hai," right? And as technologists, a lot of the times while growing up, and India being a technology-heavy nation, one of the things I always used to hear that technologists exist to do complex things. Coding is complex. But quite often we forget that in reality, what it is technology exists to make complex things simple and not the other way around. Which means that our work, and with my brethren here of technologists, one thing is very clear that if I am able to make a complex thing simple, complex brief from a complex client, saying that, yep, I have shown all this rosy picture, I want to sell T-shirts, and I have a limited budget, and I want to be the famous T-shirts e-commerce seller. But then the real challenge begins is, what are the possibilities? As a technologist, you could argue that there are more than 4,000 e-commerce platforms. Or generative AI is so vast, so obscure, and so little proven that trying to emulate AI is going to be hard. But for client, I want AI. Clients seldom will not mention you things which they don't know. They will mention you things what they see, what they have in front of them. Job of technologist does not exist to take a product and do development. A lot of people here would say that my life aspiration is to become an astute technologist. But I believe without being a strong strategist on why technology enables business to achieve transformation, you are futile. You're still in that small vacuum where if you don't understand how my work represents on a bigger scale for a business, you're missing the point. The journey for me, starting as an associate developer, it took a while in North America where I had to clearly understand that just creating a web page is not going to make my customer happy, because spending enough time in understanding what my customer wants, what are my boundaries, and what I have to offer. They all differ. So the next few slides talk about what do we, as horizontal, have learned along the way to talk to customers to get to a decision. The problem statement is simple, guys. We need to build a website to sell T-shirts. That's the problem statement. But it is easier said than done. A lot of the things we just don't even talk about are going to come to fruition. Even the customer will not mention. There will be seldom any point we're going to tell the customer that you didn't tell me that. And customer is like, I have to assume it that you know. That assumption is always on the people who deliver. It's unfortunate truth. Who is always right? Louder. Who is always right? Okay, so we need to take that mantra. Customer is always right. Try to read their minds, deliver something of value. Then we have a space for us to believe. So with that, I think we should talk about a very important topic. How many of you are tired of hearing the word composable? A few hands here and there. So, yeah, for the last 7, 8, 10 months, we've been hearing things about Composable. A lot of the people think that Composable is technology. What is Composable? One of my teammates said, "Sir, Composable is XMCloud." And then you have got completely wrong, dude. Composable is a mindset. And that mindset differs because historically, all the major software players always relied on enterprise solution. You want to build something, take enterprise solution. You want to build a good website, take enterprise solution. When can you launch website? हाँ sir, हो जाएगा 6 महीने में website launch कर देंगे. Then it's like, अरे WordPress वाला गली के नुक्कड़ पे 1 हफ्ते में दे रहा है यार. So how are you going to battle that in reality are enterprise systems really scalable? What we are doing is a lot of us have been handed over enterprise systems. Yeah, this is what you have to work. And then on the side, open source community, they're fun, they're doing great work, innovation, but they cannot make their mark. The world Fortune 100 companies, all of them use enterprise solutions. So how do we break that barrier? So we need to talk about a little bit about what does enterprise versus open source means. Historically, if you look at the left-hand side, left-hand side, that enterprise solutions are chosen because of a lot of reason. Customers want to make sure they are compliant. Customer wants to make sure, yeah, there is someone who can I call and say, your product is not working, help me. They want to make sure it's future-proof, roadmap, people are working on it. But then really, if you really want to make a mark, if you want to take these crazy dreams which my client has in order to achieve innovation, low cost, fast time to market, they're all signs of open source. You couldn't say about an enterprise product till 2 years ago that fast to market, implementation 6 months, year. How many of you have released a Sitecore website within a month? Raise your hands. 0 hands. Do you guys see that? How many of you have released a website in 6 months? Great. And how many have taken more than 18 months to launch a website? So which means that average time to launch a website is between 6 months to 18 months. Now that is the unfortunate truth of the world we live in. And as technologists, we are supposed to create magic. How? The world is moving in the manner where enterprise systems have finally woken up and say that we have to be like open source. So for a minute, just think about composable stack. Just think about Sitecore entire composable stack and look at each and every item in open source. Can Sitecore do it? I want to talk about cost. Absolutely. Sitecore has broken down at cost by products. Buy the ones you want and don't pay the ones which you don't want. Innovation. They are leapfrogging into allowing major rapid growth in their work. Time to market. SaaS-based solution shortens the time more than by 50%. Vendor lock-in, subscription-based. You can get out of a subscription any given point in time. Integratability. Obviously, we had Sandeep and Ankit talk about Sitecore Connect. Solid integratability with leading products. And then skill. A Sitecore developer was a so much coveted skill. Last September, when we were talking to the product team, Dave Flanagan, he mentioned that we are really moving to XMCloud and we're going away from .NET at its core. It hit me hard because all these years I have been with Horizontal, we only do Sitecore. I have an army of .NET developers, hardcore. They can do anything in .NET, magicians. I have to walk up to them and say that, forget that decade long of knowledge you have to learn Next.js. And then the front end were like, Aya maza. So now, really what we want to... So then there is clear choice in front of me. Training at that scale is going to be hard. A Sitecore developer who I have hired, from a cost standpoint, is 35% more expensive than a JavaScript developer. So my problem is I have expensive resources. The skill what they require, they don't have that. And I can buy that skill less than 35%. I have my beloved CEO site reading right here. His name is Sabin. Sabin, raise your hand. The question to him was, what should we be doing? In order for us to evolve as a technology team, the problem was simple, that we have to train every individual into learning Next.js. So that one element of skill which we want to talk about is, in order to be an efficient Sitecore developer, from a start point, as long as you know how to build components and bring pages, you are there, your job is safe. And for that, you don't need like months long of training. And then you just keep on improving. So we today have embarked into clearly removing a back-end development team, removing a front-end development team, and we have unified development team with people like skills like JavaScript engineer, application engineer. And then we don't have something like back-end and front-end. They're all one team, and both of them are helping. Front-end developers are receiving Sitecore knowledge. With 10 years, I have never touched template, but it's easy to create templates. They create templates. And same as backend. It's not complicated. We can do these things. So that is where everybody is moving that mindset. Composability mindset tells you that if you do not change with the wave, you're going to be left behind. And everybody has that responsibility all the way up to companies which are operating. So that first, enterprise versus open source. As a technologist, you have to think that open source is not the answer. Enterprise solutions have embarked. I can confidently say that a lot of them, that Sitecore is on the right pedestal. I have the faith that the problem statement which George mentioned, I have the answer with Sitecore. It can solve all of that, and we're going to see that live. Composable versus monolithic. This is a topic has been very, very prevalent, that monolithic existed. We enjoyed a decade long of experience on monolithic. And now we're moving to composable and what that really means. Hopefully things work. OK, can you scan this QR code? And why don't you type a word? What does composable mean to you, right? And if you can't scan the QR code, on the top, there is a website, menti.com, and then you can use the code. I'm going to give 60 seconds, rest my throat, drink some water. Flexibility. Zen, champion, master, cocktail. Beautiful. Headless. Trending. Easy. I'm just going to remove this thing here. New wine in old bottle. I like that. Whoever typed that, meet me. Let's talk. So what are you seeing from most of the people? What are you seeing is the words flexible and flexibility, right? Looking at words like scalability. What is really important is composable gives you a flavor of open source in enterprise systems. You can convince your customer to go to composable to get all the benefits of, one, being enterprise, but also being composable, being scalable, all the benefits of open source. And I feel that has helped us design and define solutions. Obviously, we are seeing a lot of rise. How many of you actually are working on a live XM Cloud project? Live XM Cloud. Raise your hands, raise your hands. Fantastic. I think you will see 5 times the number of hands raising up by this time next year. That is how it's going to really, really well. We are seeing early signs in the pre-sale cycle. We are collectively working with, obviously, our beloved Sitecore group on a day-to-day basis to get to a point where we can explain the value of composability to our customers. And I feel that every customer, as a technologist, you have to understand that we have to invest in that. Customers not. Sitecore is investing. Partners are investing. Customers have to invest. All of you, as technologists, have to invest. It may mean different things for different people. For example, Sitecore used to do major release every year, and a minor release probably every 4 months. Andy, can you tell me how soon we ship XM Cloud code? Every day. Every day. Software companies have evolved and changed how fast they ship code. Why? They want to be composable, faster time to market, low cost. What does it mean for partners like us? Train and upskill teams to be able to deliver that. That's composability. What does it mean to technologists? Training yourself into that new technology. How many of you are Sitecore developers and also do Optimizely? Can you raise hands? Quite a few hands. That's an easier path. Absolutely an easier path. Now, obviously, we're on a professional forum and we cannot talk about our beloved competitors. But what we want to mention here is Sitecore is moving ahead with the technology advances. There is going to be a lot of work. There is going to be yet another decade-long era of ruling the CMS market. where technically we just don't have any other competitor in that space, the way we can deliver things. And you can see some of these things for customers is that the creative and innovation. I want to design T-shirts, use AI. Fantastic. Will the cost effectiveness? I don't have a lot of money. I want something very quick. Oh, can you do something MVP and then I'll scale to the entire world? Agility and speed to market. And then freedom and flexibility. They don't want to touch something which will hold them back. And I think that is where it gets critical. The final buzzword is architectural choices. Back in the day, if we want to design a presentation framework, obviously standard, ASP.NET MVC, then SXA came. Today, using modern JavaScript framework, although we have affinity towards Next.js, but does not limit you from using anything else. You can create your front-end layer pretty much agnostic of how the data is coming, which means that the choices have increased. So the presentation framework has just expanded itself into multitude. So whenever you are there to design an architectural choice, 9 out of 10 times, you are being told what to use. Some of you here do have the power to rise up and say, no, we shouldn't be using this, we should be using that. As technologists, we seldom rise up and say, no, this is not the right choice. And that's what we need to change. We need to change because end of the day, what you do has to make meaningful sense to your customer. And if you don't agree inherently, you have to have the courage and say, no. The world is changing so swiftly that technologies are now, as I said, strategies. Telling customers that this is how it is done, this is how we are going to do, and then have that quality. Because what you know, no other discipline knows it. It's hard to explain technology, why certain decisions are made. So architectural choices are going to be very important. Your presentation framework choice has to be important. Content. 5 years ago, if you would ask me, where should I store my content? Yeah, content management, Sitecore. Store it. Everything. Even if it belongs, even if it doesn't belong, store it. That's only we know. Because we know how to battle with an item so profusely that we say, yeah, we'll store everything. Reviews, yeah, I'll store. I'll store in web database directly. Don't need to publish, sir. So then the question becomes is, okay, they have a mobile app. Yeah, we'll give you an API with no GraphQL, and then you can use my content management to do that. Social, yeah, you can use. So then a single channel website became your omni-channel for content. But content never belonged there for enterprise reasons. So the question of atomic design and content comes into play. Like now, how many choices we have? You have Content Hub. We have Content Hub 1, which is a different flavor. You have Sitecore. Or you have, through APIs, as you can see, in morning's Peter's demo, we saw that if you have content in third party, runtime, we can bring the content. There's no need to store. Which means that content authored once, use everywhere else. As an architect, as a technologist, if you see content being replicated in multiple places, stop that. How many times we have suffered from content migration? Yeah, content migration, it'll be done, sir. 2 days, it'll be done, don't worry. Customers say, no, we will do content migration. And then it falls on to us to do content migration. We have suffered a lot because right technical choices were not made. So the content is an important piece. Scalability, a lot of people have mentioned scalability. If I'm going to design a t-shirt website, my customer is not going to tell me, hey, design a website which handles 5,000 requests per second. Because they don't know. My customer doesn't know. Now, if you're going to ask me, sir, how many requests per second would you like? What are you talking? I don't know. So who is going to make that choice? Technologists should make the choices, invest in platform which can scale with need. That's what scalability means. You don't need everything, you scale with need. How many of you have solutions which has more than 6 CD servers? Why? Because that whole era has made us believe that we were looking at the problem in a different wrong way. So my question here is scalability in solutions has to be looked at. Agility and interoperability, simple, straightforward. I need just a content management system, XM Cloud. I just need personalization, just use personalize. I need a search solution, I have a search solution. I just don't need anything, I'm an Adobe shop, but I need search, okay, take Sitecore search. That is what agility means, allowing agility along the way. No, it is easy for me to say, working in 15 years, working in Sitecore, I'll be pro Sitecore. And you can always say that there are other competitors like Adobe, Optimizely, whatnot. But what I'm saying is from my lens, my customer comes to me with a problem, 99% of the time, Sitecore has a solution and is the right solution. And that gives us the ability to go just beyond what we do and create killer solutions for our customers. Compliance is an important topic. Nobody thinks about it, right? What is this SOC 2? Organizations need to be compliant because their data is in cloud, making sure that are we compliant? Are my solutions good enough to solve that? Nobody thinks that, but technologists, how many of you are thinking that is my solution compliant or not? Is my password open text or not? A lot of the times the solution we build have lasting impacts, and studies have shown that any amount of leniency in compliance has resulted in a lot of legal fees and cost. But at the root of it, technologists are responsible. So those choices which you make are going to be important in your career. You have to learn those things, and that's how you're going to get to the next step. That's how you're going to learn how to use technology for business solutions, and that's how you're going to take the next step. Saying that I'll be a lifelong technologist and my job is safe is a wrong notion. While growing in India, the last decade, one of the things I hear is, I don't want to go into management. I think my options will be limited. यार मैं technology से दूर नहीं जाऊँगा. Well, you are never going to go away from technology. Technology is the center. Use that knowledge to bridge the gap where your team is. And that gap is what made me go beyond just being a developer into 9 different roles into where I am today. So that is one important lesson I want to make sure that speak up, learn, and go beyond just technology. But finally, we're going to see all of this, how the outcome is. And before that, I just like to show how this is going to translate in terms of technology. Obviously, here is a high-level overview. On the left-hand side, you see different layers: content, experience, commerce, and delivery. And on the right-hand side, you have this current. A lot of us are working in this area. How many of you are still working on a project with this current stack? Few of us. I also work. I also have projects. There's no shame. So what I feel is we have to say that, oh my God, sir, life was simple, only 3 boxes. Now there are 20 boxes. What should I do? So I say that, large part is your bottom 2 layers, content and experience. That is more than 50%. That's what you need to know, and obviously the top layer. But what I'm trying to tell you is, don't try to learn everything at once. Try to figure out what it needs. So for Mr. George, who's my beloved client, they explained that, how do I create a solution? So I said, the answer to this is, we're going to host your website on XM Cloud. We are going to use an engine called DALL-E from OpenAI to create designs, beautiful designs. You don't need to hire a designer. We're going to use Content Hub for a variety of operations, like storing the product data, metadata around it, and things like that. We'll do personalization and use AI-powered search to help you search the best images so that you can create best design. And then you have OrderCloud behind the scenes running the commerce layer, obviously with fulfillment and shipping. And then finally, we did use a little bit of Discover. And then on the top layer, straightforward, Next.js, Vercel, Experience Edge forming that layer. And this solution might appear complex. I come back to my same point. I exist to make things simple, not complex, which means that every possible solution has been designed. And you can argue you don't need a very particular content management solutions, or you can get away with OrderCloud and store your data in a very lightweight framework and can do it. But this is what, for me, a solution to a complex requirement is so deep. So in one slide, 3 bullet points they mention. I want t-shirts, I want to sell it worldwide, and I want designs. How broad it expanded is how implementation person, technologist probe. Do you think a data strategist would be able to explain this? Do you think a marketer would be able to explain this? They are like, "Arey, 4 हफ्ते में website चाहिए मेरे को." But the questions like, can it scale? Is it enterprise? Can you do everything safe and secure? Is it compliant? Client is not even knowing that. But if I want to make my client successful, I am the guiding light for them. I am the person who's guiding that. So with that being said, let's go and try demo and figure out if we are able to make it work.
I think the reality is that when a client or a marketeer like myself looks at a slide like that, the great myth is we just really don't understand it, right? I'm looking at it thinking, why is the bottom line darker red than the pink? That's pretty much about the extent of my thought process. And I'm really not that joking. Like, the trust we as a non-technologist have to have in your technology decisions, and the path dependence that sets us down is crucial. And unless we can have a trust, and unless I think, we have, and I think what, Sabin tries to create at Horizontal is a agency where we can have that sense of trust and respect between each other, and so that we can do the best work of our lives, and we can speak up, and we can give the client the solution they want without everyone having to work sort of, all sort of hours, I think is important. Sorry.
Yeah, fantastic. So we have our demo site. Any guesses on what it is hosted or what it is built on? What? Next.js on Vercel. So here, basically what we want to do is we want to get the party started, and you're a customer, you come in. All of that obviously is hosted in a Next.js app, rendering on the Vercel. So here we're going to type in email address. You can see I have tried it 6 times. So this is the 7th time. And so we're going to create a store. A lot of magic is happening behind the scenes. When I create a store, it goes to OrderCloud and actually creates a store behind the scenes. You have your own store. That's first thing. Just imagining that all of these things are processed behind the scenes. Obviously, we'll select some colors. Obviously, we're going to select some green here.
Sheetal, how long did this take to create?
Huh?
How long did this demo take to create?
The demo took about 6 weeks, end to end, from ideation all the way to delivery. And then, we're going to write something fun here. So I'm going to write India Gate, because I want an India Gate t-shirt. Another word, monument, because that's my style. And then I'm going to create a traditional style. My mood is nostalgic, being in India, and I want a bird's eye view. Basically, what I'm trying to do is, this is allowing my customers to design a site, design a t-shirt. And while designing that, they have options which they can mention. Behind the scene, what it is doing, point number 1, it is going to create in your OrderCloud instance a particular store name in front of you associated with that email address. That's your personal store. Second, it is going to take all of these things and go and submit it to DALL-E, which is an open AI, to get you designs. So the next step is going to be, let's just submit, fingers crossed, make sure you don't see anything inappropriate here. We're still trying technologies, but as a customer, I want to see India Gate, I want it to be monument, and then slowly yet steadily, what's going to happen here is you are going to get a bird's eye view of India Gate. All of this, magical, just happening. My client is like, oh my God, this is fantastic. So now what do we have? We have 3 options. These 3 options are India Gate. Can anyone confirm this is India Gate? Okay, fantastic. So India Gate is here. I like the 3rd one. We're going to select that. At this point, what's happening is that particular image is firing up a process in Content Hub. Because what we want is all of our media assets has to be in Content Hub, which is our delivery mechanism, and that Content Hub is creating. So behind the scenes, that is running. And as long as this takes a little bit more, my heart starts pounding. It's like, oh my God, is something all right or not? So there's a lot of automated process behind the scene which is creating. And then finally, what we see is the store is going to look like SUGCON India and this. So let's go and publish it. Let's go and publish it. And then what happens here is it is going to send a fulfillment engine, is going to come in, trigger an email, and that email is going to take that details like shipping address, payment address, and then it's going to ship that to you. But there is a little bit more I would like to show here is, sorry. So basically here, so this is my front-end commerce management layer. Again, this is built on Vercel, but behind the scenes, it's calling commerce APIs. And then what it's doing is it's just, explaining me the products here. So I just selected an India Gate thing, and I just want to make sure this is so small I can't even see it. On the right side, you see SUGCON India as an image appeared. That image is actually showing on a Vercel app, which is behind the scenes, is talking to OrderCloud. OrderCloud is talking to Content Hub to get that image all the way through. Power of composability, 6 weeks. We're not talking 6 months, guys. This is a fully working solution. We have taken thousands of orders. Obviously, there's an approval process. I'm going to approve this, and what's that going to do is that is going to just take it and push it out to bulk edit, and then I'm just flying blind, guys. I don't even know where the checkboxes are. And what that does is this product basically takes it up and gets a finish line, and then what happens is when you approve a particular design, this is my Content Hub instance behind the scenes. We're going to open that up. And then this is what this is basically is my site, which have all of my approved designs. And obviously, we will have all of our designs published over here, which are from inspiration. But as you can see, Content Hub was never ever in a picture to host content. But for us, Content Hub is a very powerful tool to host any metadata. I have PIM systems. I'm going to hold product data. But this is user-generated product content, which is going to be stored in this particular region. So again, can I sell T-shirts? Yes, we have fulfillment. We can look at the checkout flow in a minute. Can my users create designs? The answer is yes, right? Can they start with MVP in 6 weeks? The answer is yes. Is it scalable for worldwide? What is your answer, guys? The technology stack. Can it scale world? Is it secure and compliant? So all these yes answers are in front of us to show a simplistic example on how the world has evolved, and now we are able to generate a lot of possibilities which are just beyond building website. A lot of us started our careers thinking that, what do? We build website. तो यार गलुई का रिंग को भी करता है. So all these years of professionalism now is taking a turn into designing things which are much more meaningful, much more experience. And then a lot of them are low code or no code. Fundamentally understanding that how these things can create limitless possibilities is amazing. If we didn't think about from a Sitecore lens, obviously there are thousands of options in the marketplace, but showing this is a possibility is a testament to the product. A lot of people say, we as Indians, I will make a remark that we're quickly to sign off people. Arey, nahi chalta hai. It's very new, and nothing works. We have a live demo, guys. So what we're going to do now is, before I show the checkout flow, I am going to go back to my presentation. And I want you to submit some designs, inspirational designs. And I will make sure that from this, it's an actual live demo. It's not fabricated. Why take few minutes, take that and submit your best designs, and a select few will get email from us, and they'll get a T-shirt printed with that design. Make sure your store name is unique name. Email address is valid, guys. Email address has to be valid. And then just why don't you go ahead and express that. I see some more phones. Before I remove this screen and show something else, I want to make sure that the site is loading, guys. Good? Okay. That's the first good sign. All the heads are down, so I'm not gonna, talk. But this is your final step, which is a checkout page. It's a link in your email with, details, which will allow you to do these things. Obviously, as nearing to our presentation, our intent was to enlighten, touch a topic which has been very least talked about. As technologists, you walk into the doors of a big user group conference to learn extreme details about technologies, which is what we're going to cater. But my presentation was geared towards questioning what solutions are you building. Are you just taking orders, or are you questioning them and designing a better future for your customer and yourself? That is an important takeaway, because unless and until you start to reason, if you're not curious, you're going to be behind. And that is something which needs to change. I think we have a few of them already entered, so let me check. So we're going to go back to our product list, and we're going to Someone wrote, Apna time aayega. Vaibhav, Ashish, Mustafa Store, SUGCON, Chandrayaan. Beautiful. This is the power of community. Power of when people, ideas are on the table. Because sometimes I am in lack of words like what people think and design. All of us being technologists have these amazing designs. I really like, who is this Aisha with a bike? Really good one. Mustafa Store. I think beautiful. Vaibhav is beautiful. It's really amazing that how a technology from your mobile phone all the way to a data center in North America has created that in minutes time. And that is what I want to tell you is composability is going to be future. Sitecore product team has everything in its place to make customer success. We have the entire Sitecore team, product relations team here today. We have Peter, we have Andy, we have all of them. Please ask questions. How do I enable myself? Ask them. What should I learn first? Ask them. They are incredible resources to help you. Obviously, horizontal is there, but the mothership Sitecore is here. Ask them like, I want to be an XM Cloud developer, but I am a .NET developer. What is my path? What is the composable path for a developer? Ask them. Leverage this time because this is what is going to make you successful. It's going to make a world a better place by designing quality solutions for our customers. With that being said, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Questions? Questions?
I just love that someone's actually got the moon landing in this one up here. That's real time for you, right? You know?
Oh.
No question. We could do a poll. Which of these T-shirts should we actually get printed? Because it actually works. If you approve it, it will get fulfilled and sent.
Yeah.
So what do we think? Internet's a little bit slow. Which of these have to be made? Surely the moon landing has to be made. Ooh, that's very artistic.
Any questions about how it is built, what it is built? Are you guys in shock? Are you guys sleepy? Share something, guys. Come on. Was it fun? Little louder. Was it fun? Yes. See, this is the Indian style of making people say what you want to hear. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Jai Hind.
Good job, mate.
Thanks, George. Thanks, Shitala. Are you? Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you both.
We're
of
like
you.
celebrities.